TV1 TV for life.
News First, face to face with Jamal Ratnayaka.
Good evening and welcome to this Monday's edition of Face to Face, bringing you this evening's program for the Newsfirst team. I'm Jamal Ratnayaka as always, and tonight I have a guest with me who has recently concluded a visit and a tour in India that grabbed the headlines both locally and internationally. My guest tonight is Professor Anil Jayantha, National Executive Committee member of the National People's Power. He is also part of the Economic Council of the National People's Power. A very good evening to you, Mr. Anil Jayantha, and welcome on the show.
Very good evening to you, Jamal. Thank you.
So, Mr. Anil, your schedule seems to be quite busy as of late. You had a 5-day visit to India, where the leader of the National People's Power was also leading the delegation. You met with several top brass of India's administrative and political structure. You met with several industry leaders. You had visited many places, including Ahmedabad, which is considered as a development model in the modern context. So before we delve deeper into the specifics, give us a brief on how the tour went and what sort of outcomes you experienced during your tour.
Basically, like in a nutshell, I can tell that it was a great the success, and basically, so it is like compact since that was 5 years, a little bit hectic.
Right.
However, the main areas that we could touch include the political aspects of, because they had certain concerns, so we will discuss what they are.
Right.
Then how they have achieved economic growth, of course, though the country has not reached up to a developed state. So we see how best the country is progressing. Very key industries we were able to see, industries. And we were able to have very good dialogues of developing future solidarities and relationship with them, especially focusing on the areas where we can thrive through collaboration rather than competing with India. So those are the main 3 areas. So maybe we can further elaborate and see.
Yes, please do so.
Yes.
You, the leader of the NPP and the delegation that he was leading, met with India's External Affairs Minister, Dr. S. Jaishankar, and you met several chief ministers as well. So let's start off with what was discussed with Dr. Jaishankar, especially in terms of India-Sri Lanka relations, national security, security of the Indian region, the Indian Ocean region, and Sri Lanka as well.
Yeah, from the political the perspective, we met Dr. Jaishankar, and again we met National Security Advisor Ajit Doval, and in the evening on the same day we met the Secretary of the Foreign Ministry, and that is within Delhi. And in Gujarat we met Chief Minister. In Kerala we met one Minister in Industries, Law and Industries. We discussed several things, especially as you highlighted. Mainly their concern was the national security of India, and not only India, in the region as well. And what we are going to do, as of now, they have certain kind of experiences. They must have invited us on the belief or with whatever the facts that they have, that we would come to power in the future. So they wanted to clearly know, so what's our stance, like our foreign policy, and how we are going to deal with this, maintain diplomacy. So like in summarized form, like they ask, so how are we going to use this? So we gave them a very straightforward answer, saying that we follow non-aligned policy, and we gave them a kind of assurance that no country in the world can use Sri Lankan soil to create unnecessary problems or threats to India. And in the same way, we do not allow even India to use Sri Lanka as against other countries' policies or any other thing. So we demarcated this thing by highlighting the fact that within the world and the political sphere, being a small country, we said that actually we do not have any role or any agenda in the international politics to be achieved. So we have something else because we need to bring up our country from this particular abyss. So, but we said that yes, India, you have a role to play, and therefore we are not going to interfere with that, but we gave that particular assurance. They were really happy. Even I noticed from their like facial expressions before asking the question, like they maintained a kind of like rigid the facial expressions, and it was
very formal
in a way formal. But once we gave that answer, I saw how the facial expressions were changing and friendly manner, like accommodating us. And further, our leader, Comrade Andra Disanayaka, very clearly mentioned, like unlike other political parties, we do not have any double standards. What we have to say in front of you, yes, we are saying the same thing. At what we do is the same thing. There would not be any double standard. So that is from our side we explain. I think since we also made all those the statements genuinely, very clearly, we believe that they sense it. So that is how very cooperatively they accepted, and they said that from there, and of course in the future we would look forward to maintain these stances in such a manner to bring, especially maintain the peace within the region. And that would lead to further economic collaborations, whereby we also can gain lots of things, how best to develop our economy by utilizing our resources and all. So that is the basic, the political aspects.
So you also met the security advisor, Mr. Ajit Doval. And we know in the current context, there are a lot of geopolitical tensions by way of wars, and also several cold wars we can see brewing, especially in Sri Lanka's exclusive economic zone and the Indian Ocean region, where China seems to be exerting its influence, and several research vessels of China have arrived in our region, in our waters, and there have been certain newspaper articles saying that India has won the war between India and China in terms of obtaining Sri Lanka's favoritism and so on. So what sort of security concerns were discussed? Did you make it clear that Sri Lanka will remain a sovereign nation, and there will be no any sort of tampering with Sri Lanka between any sort of regional power, be it China or India or the US and so on? So what sort of security concerns were brought up during your discussions?
Certainly, we maintain our stance and clearly explain what our stance is. So they did not ask any questions about what the present government is doing and what the previous government did. So they asked what we are going to do. Like our other stance was the main concern. But from our side, we believe that we clearly passed the message and communicated it very well, and they were well convinced.
All right. So still sticking to the topic of your visit, because it grabbed a lot of headlines both locally and internationally, and a lot of your opposing parties, political parties, came forward and said that this was a deal between the JVP, that is the major political party within the NPP, and Ranil Wickremesinghe. Some said that the JVP, who historically rejected India's bilateral relation with Sri Lanka, is now changing their shape, and they are going towards India and seeking assistance from India. So what sort of a paradigm shift has happened there, Mr. Jayantha? Is the NPP evolving its policies and its stances according to this new world order? Is it what's taking place at present?
Actually, I do not know on what basis like that these kind of rumors or these allegations were made that the government arranged this thing. So that is up to them. But it's very clear for us, this invitation came a little bit like maybe in December 2023. We arranged it, but why it was surprised, because we kept it very secret and sealed all those things until the last minute. So no one thought that it was a kind of the official based on government invitation. So that could be the reason why these kind of allegations and the mudslinging came in. As far as our history and the present and the future prospects are concerned, very clearly we just told them, even in one particular meeting with one big think tank that is called Vivekananda International Foundation, that comprises of intellectuals from different areas, mainly from security, the concerns are there. So we explained them in the past, so that is highly contextual. Based on that contextual reality, we happen to do this thing. Even we happen to like come forward with a kind of like the taking arms even. But that is maybe a couple of decades ago, like even 3-4 decades ago. Then we showed them how the world has been evolving, how parties or the political parties are evolving, and people are evolving by considering the realities of the world. The world is also changing to great extent. World is now driven by technology, unlike in the past, like this thinking of living in a country based on high nationalistic perspective, simply ignoring the global perspective. I don't think that in the
being confined to the island.
So that would not be a good thing. Like we explain all those things. So therefore, environment is changing, technology is changing, parties are changing, people are also changing. So therefore, we are also changing. We are evolving, not for a bad cause, but for a positive ways to build collaborations and relationship with the world. At the same time, we also told them that how India also has has been changing and changed their stances for the good causes. So as of now, the situation is to achieve the prosperity for the people or countries, not through fierce competition or fierce fights. Instead, so there is a way to achieve, like especially to achieve economic developments through collaborations. So these are the points that we highlighted. They accepted.
So now we can say that the Indian visit and relations between India and the NPP are somewhat secure. So what about the other major players, Mr. Jayantha, in the world? Let's say China, the US, certain European countries, Russia. We have enjoyed very successful bilateral relations with all of these countries for many decades, and Sri Lanka has been held in high stead in the international community. So what is the NPP's stance regarding all of these geopolitical players and the world's superpowers as a whole?
Yeah, so there could be possibilities, but it doesn't mean that we have to have like we will have the same possibilities and opportunities with respect to all the big players. But with everyone we are ready to deal with, especially India cannot be neglected, so being our neighbor and the biggest country. And another potential is there, especially in the sub-Saharan African region and Middle East, even in the European region, the China as well. And even if we take the fact of India, in one discussion we held with the Confederation of Indian Industries, so that really deals with not only the private sector organization, even the public sector, and the what we call, so unique feature I notice in the business or economic development processes, what we call social those kind of social groups are also involved,
like civic groups,
something like civic groups, like so they work together to achieve common prosperity. Then when they reveal the information about the trade between India and Sri Lanka, by referring to some agreements as well and the other trades as well, so the fact that we on average in a year we import, so last year we have imported goods and services amounting to $6.3 billion. What we have exported is 1.2. And another factor, very important point is, even though we have imported very insignificant amount, out of the total goods and services that are ready for exports, we have tried with 67% of items. After trying with 67% of items, we have gained only 1.2. So they have actually exported us only 10% of the items which are possible. So it clearly shows us how bad the trade policies are. Our people do not think of bringing the prosperity to the country, but bringing some benefits to their personal, and so that is the thing. So they also accept the fact that why can't you export more, because potential is there. Why don't you go for value-added products that, in so many areas, especially in agriculture, fisheries, even in semiconductors. So I'll just explain later how IT Park, Techno Park, the discussion with us. So basically, this is the picture as far as the trading is concerned. Our major counterpart would be India and China and Europe, as I just explained. We are whenever, as of now, whenever the opportunity is surged, we are ready to grab it through a transparent manner.
Right. So, delving into this particular topic of being a part of the global supply chain, we know that in today's world, if you take a certain product, if you take a phone or even a vehicle or any sort of appliance, it's not made in one country.
Exactly.
It's sourced from various different countries. All of the different ingredients and the elements come together to make that product. And Sri Lanka can definitely be a part of that global supply chain, especially because of its close proximity to India and the bilateral relations that we successfully have achieved. So what sort of discussions were held in terms of increasing Sri Lanka's output, increasing Sri Lanka's production, making Sri Lanka's economy an export-oriented economy and so on? Just enlighten me as well.
Yeah, so apart from the other goods like especially in the agriculture fisheries sector, we visited a place called Techno Park in Kerala.
Okay.
So they highlighted us how they have achieved these things. So government commitment, the provision of infrastructure facilities, and bringing the right people on board and just facilitating them.
Right.
So then Comrade Anur also asked, like, as far as the technology is concerned, because all the time you may have seen that we say that through technology, IT, semiconductors, and just entering into global supply chains, there is a potential. Of course, there is a potential. They also showed us. I can show you one picture how our discussions, how successful our discussion was.
Right.
This is the news, the lead news published in their website, that is the Techno Park. So it says very clearly, Sri Lankan delegation visits Techno Park, seeks partnership to develop island nations IT sector. So this is a very good evidence, and there are mainly I would like to focus. So there is a potential that we can go for collaborative venturing, and it is not going to be something competing. That is the point Comrade Anura asked. Is there any possibility for any country, especially for Sri Lanka? Because we have been we have not been able to tap into that market when the technology really grew. So as of now, what is the potential for a country like Sri Lanka to grab the market and compete? So his idea was also, it's, of course you can try, but in order to bring about the more prospects for both countries, better to go for partnerships and alliances, something like. So that is one potential. And in addition, we discuss in the Gujarat province, as you said, industrial, what they call Gujarat model. Gujarat model, they had paid attention on power and energy. So there is a potential for us. We also questions like, they also ask now, it's a fact that Adani has come here and tried for some kind of agreement. So one of the biggest problems with these kind of agreements are not clear, they are not transparent, because you see, so they are really opaque. So we showed them, and even we took evidence from them as well. One lady maybe representing energy sector. The recent two tenders that they had given for private energy suppliers in the wind power to purchase power purchasing agreement, the cost, the purchasing price stated was $0.03, whereas now we are talking about $0.075, so more than double. So this is then we revealed the fact and showed them that this is how
the deal that we have gotten.
They are like accepted, admitted, like if something goes wrong, they also said that is too much. So you can't run it smoothly. So even at the discussion with Amul also, we highlighted all these apart things and wanted to bring the transparency. So actually from their side, like I do not know the political intention and other things, as far as the business the perspective is concerned, so they accepted and they are ready to go for very open and transparent discussion. The important point is that Gujarat and where this power and energy sector and the tourism also, untapped tourism area is because there are no direct flights.
I see.
So they highlighted that if you can operate even Indian airlines or Sri Lankan airlines or any other, so better to have a kind of program, have direct connection. So tourists are ready to, we will develop a master plan maybe for 10 years to send tourists there. So that would be really beneficial, not only Sri Lanka but also our tourists, because they are also waiting to get tourism kind of experience and they like Sri Lankan
tourists in India.
Yeah, that is another. And another important thing, like we visited many, I'm just highlighting
the key highlights.
Place called I Create. I Create is an entrepreneurship incubator.
Okay.
So where they train, like it is not simple training. They really provide all the facilities, guide them, direct them to come out with new innovation. There were several entrepreneurs, they had come with kind of new ideas. The first time it was failed, second time failed. Likewise, after 5-6 times,
they eventually made it a success.
Now they are thriving businesses. So those costs are borne by the government.
Right.
So that is one. So another area where we can learn lessons and think of how best technology can be used to facilitate the link between citizens and the government. That is UIDI, that is Unique Identification Authority of India, where every citizen is given a particular identity but without having a profile tracing.
I see. Okay.
So that is
the catch point.
Point. So almost 95% is covered, 95% of the population has been covered. And we also had referred similar kind of thing in our policies in 2019, saying that we would issue a kind of fiscal code to connect people with the government. But by that time, we were just like criticized, saying that we are going to tax even when the people are born. No, it was not the case. Just to connect, because when people are connected with the government, it is really transparent and the benefits will go to those needy people and no one can play around. So that is another. And we visited another city called Gift City. That is basically a financial hub. Okay. So separate the zone. Some facilities are given. Actually, we need to study further whether we have to go for these kind of things or different. But lots of concessions, tax exemptions have been also given, where they give all the facilities and they invite especially big Indian investors. They are operating now in Dubai and other countries, doing different kind of businesses. They want them to come back to India. Native Indians. And they promote Indian other foreign investment as well, because as of now they have calculated about maybe big amount. If they come there, with that the foreign exchange saving would be very significant. It's a kind of not only a financial city, so kind of infrastructure providing city, like creating a conducive environment for investment. It is like promoting ease of doing businesses. That is one important area. And another potential area in the agriculture and irradiation center. So they use radiation to get rid from these the problems of perishable foods, and then the shelf life would go up. That's also amazing in a rural area. That is
investment happening in the R&D sector for multiple areas, including agriculture, power and energy, and so on. So, Mr. Jayantha, you spoke very eloquently, and I see you have experienced many things in your visit to India as well as your leader. But when it comes to the fact of the matter, there has to firstly be a presidential election, and the NPP has to win that presidential election. So, very quickly, before we wrap up tonight's program, tell our viewers what differentiates the NPP from the rest, so that they are inspired to vote for the NPP if and when the presidential election happens.
So before that, I'll just add quickly, another important place we visited was Vikram Sabahai Space Center.
Right.
Normally when we hear about a space, like
Aerospace.
think of aerospace, and actually the outcome of their successes and research are being utilized for agriculture and fisheries industry by providing accurate information for them to
right,
increase
so
their
they're
revenue.
interlinking sectors to
That is-
develop other sectors
so
as well.
therefore they showed us a kind of potential for our people to go there and have kind of training
Training
so
and
we
come
thought
back.
of that as well.
Right.
So coming to your question before wrapping it up,
Yes.
so how we are different from others? Actually, as far as human people are concerned, we look to be the same, but we are different from in terms of policies. We are not going to form a government to use the mandate to gain private benefits. So very clearly we affirm that we will not have any conflicts of interest. We always uphold the public interest, and we try our level best to bring the prosperity, common prosperity to everyone. So that is the difference. So this has been not only just mentioned in our policies, we are practicing these things, so without which no country can develop, because government is an agent of the people. So we need to do that agent's job by taking the correct responsibilities and by being held ourselves accountable. This is how we are planning. So you can watch and see, and in any point of time we can the general public can question, and at the same time we want general public to join hands with us. It is not something we maintain our own mechanism and create benefits and give it to you. No, we show the path, the direction, how best the prosperity can be brought. Then you join our economic policies, social policies, politics, and all those things. We work together with a great hope. So this is how we are different, and we believe that the coming the presidential, no matter what election comes, it looks like presidential election would come, and certainly we can win it. And the biggest challenge is now, I don't see that it is winning or not winning. Biggest challenge is after winning, how best we develop this country. First, take the economy out of this particular abyss and put back on the track.
Right. The government is the people's agent, and the NPP is very, very strictly determined to take Sri Lanka to greater heights with developing its economy and also, in the meantime, developing bilateral relations with countries. That is the message my guest tonight, Professor Anil Jayantha, has for you. Unfortunately, that's all the time we have for Face to Face tonight. Take care and good night.